Hi, everybody. I hope you're having a good day. I hope you're having a happy Friday or whatever day it is for you in your little corner of the world. Been having a nice day myself. Pretty mellow again. These last couple of months have been quite challenging for me. Not just with the physical circumstances that have been thrown my way and having to deal with that, but also some of the things that have happened or in the past and, are no longer a concern of mine, a direct concern of mine today, but they still have left emotional residue behind. And I know I think when I'm out and about and I'm talking with friends or I'm talking with strangers, I would consider myself a happy-go-lucky person, and I feel happy inside. I feel that spark inside. I feel that inner joy inside. And part of the reasons why I see that is because I see the beauty of this reality or the wonder, and I'm just so grateful for being alive. I really do, and I love being alive. It's just this gratefulness with divinity for choosing this lens to experience reality, choosing this experience as the Megan experience, and exploring it has been amazing. It really has been. And I tried to see the good. I feel happy, and I feel this contentment and satisfaction within me. And I try, even in the darkest situations, I try to see the good. And there have been situations in my life where I have been hurt, and I have been hurt by other people or another person, or I've been backstabbed, betrayed, treated very poorly. And I always try to see the good in those situations. And I always try and, to a certain extent, gaslight myself into believing that, those people acted from a place of woundedness, because people that are not happy, or the people that are happy with themselves, wouldn't treat others the way some people have treated me. And I gaslight myself into believing that, these people, it wasn't a big deal. What they did to me wasn't a big deal, and or with this other person or this situation, whatever happened, however it impacted me, it wasn't a big deal. Just try and see the positive. Try and see the positive. Try and see the positive. And I water down the reality of the situation with positivity. And I think that in my own life, I've always tried to see the good in others, but I think that's also been my biggest weakness, because I don't hold people accountable. People that have hurt me, I usually don't hold them accountable for their actions or properly feel angry for whatever happened, because I water it down with positivity, or I water it down with some kind of explanation as to why this wounded person would wound me, and that it wasn't personal, or some thing like that. But I've had to learn on this healing journey that it's okay to be properly angry at people, and it's okay to see the bad in others. And of course, good and bad are subjective. Of course, what may be good for me may not be good for you, or what I may consider bad, you may not consider bad. And it's so subjective, but you can't deny the fact that certain things that happen in your life affect you positively or negatively. And you can kind of tell whether something was positive in your life or negative in your life by how your body feels. If you think about a situation in your life where someone was really kind to you, or you had a very wonderful experience with somebody, a very wonderful bond, if you observe your body and you observe the way that you feel, how your heart feels, how do you feel the jitters, or do you feel calm, relaxed, right? And so you can deduce that means that was a positive experience, because you feel more open. You feel like you're open to love. But if something has impacted you negatively, you may feel more closed. You may feel constricted in your heart area, or you may feel jittery. You may feel anxious, nervous, scared, whatever it is. And so you feel more closed off. You feel isolated. You feel scared. You feel distrustful of others. And so, yes, good and bad are subjective, and everybody experiences every single situation subjectively through their own lens. It's important to observe when certain situations that show up in our lives, how those certain situations affect us, affect our bodies, affect our reality, or the illusions that we're currently blinded by. And so I have to learn to be okay with seeing the bad in others and holding people accountable. I have to learn, and I'm getting better at this, but I'm nowhere near a master of this. I have to learn to say, well, what so-and-so did, or what these groups of people did, or what this situation, however it happened, this situation really impacted me. And I feel scared, I feel isolated, I feel like I was mistreated, I was disrespected, or whatever the situation was, right? And what the actions of this other person were not okay. And it's okay for me to hate. And by hate, I don't mean hate the other person. I mean hate their heinous acts, because their heinous acts impacted me and have triggered something within me that makes me feel scared, closed, and afraid and isolated. Therefore, what so-and-so did was not okay, and their actions are not justifiable, because there are people out there that have been wounded, and I've met many people on my journey, and they've been wounded really, really badly, but they are one of the most wholesome people you will ever meet. Not a bad bone exists within them. They are just so inspiring to me, because after everything they've been through, they're still trying to show up in a kind way, and they don't want others to feel the way that they felt. And those people are pretty inspiring to me. The birds are fighting again. The birds outside. They're having their own little drama there. Oh, one bird hurt me and the other bird was being a jerk. It's trying to steal my food. Anyway, life is a strange experience, but I'm glad to be able to experience it all. I can't say that I'm happy that I have experienced betrayal, disappointment, hurt, pain, suffering in my life. I'm not happy about that, but I'm grateful for the lessons that those experiences have shown me. I'm grateful for the deeper love that I was able to find within myself, to discover within myself. But I have to remind myself that it's okay for me to be angry at that situation, because that's part of the experience. It was messed up, and so it's okay to feel like, oh, fuck you, dude. That was messed up, right? Because to make the experience authentic, you have to acknowledge the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room was that somebody fucked you over, or a group of people fucked you over, or this situation fucked you over, or whatever it is that you've experienced. And it's okay to properly feel that anger and properly feel that hate towards the actions of so-and-so. Because to a certain extent, what I have learned is that I am now a mother to my inner child. I was looking at pictures of myself when I was like 5 or 6 years old, and I was just thinking about that little girl's dreams and aspirations and what she wanted to do when she grew up, and her antics and, you know, her life at that point. And I feel so sorry that that little girl has experienced so much pain and suffering. And just like when you're out in the wild and you see a bear, a mama bear, with her cubs, and if you try and fuck with the cubs, the mama bear will unleash her fury and rip you apart, or rip any predator or any threat apart to protect her babies, her cubs. And it's okay for me to feel angry at those people that have hurt my inner child, because we're all just children in adult bodies, right? You've probably heard of that saying. And so, because the first 7 years of our life are the foundation of our personality, and whatever happens in those first 7 years will determine our proclivities and our behavior for the rest of our life, and will unconsciously act from that 7-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old child, will act through by their fears and by their insecurities, however they felt at that point. And people in my life, in the past, and some of them have been recent, have affected me in a negative, not in a positive, in a negative way. There have been other people that have affected me in a positive way, of course, but there are people that have been very mean and just bad people, just very poorly played. I have been poorly played. The stuff that has happened hasn't been the best, but I have to see it for what it is. It was a shitty situation, and I have to acknowledge that that situation wasn't the best, you know? And I have to be okay with being angry, because I'm protecting my inner child. I am the mother of that little girl now. I am the guardian, and I know all of her needs, and hyper aware of her sensitivities and her insecurities. And therefore, just like a mama bear would do anything to protect her cubs, I have to do everything in my power to protect my inner child. And just like a mama bear would get angry at anybody that tried to mess with her cubs, it's okay for me to get properly angry at anybody that has tried to mess with me, and therefore mess with my inner child. And so I encourage you to parent your inner child, to be the dad or mom of that little boy or that little girl. You're hyper aware of their needs, of their wants, of their dreams, of their sensitivities, of their insecurities. And when somebody crosses the line, it's okay to be upset. And I think, like they say in AA, the first step to recovery is awareness. And I think the first step to healing, what I have had to learn, is that the first step to healing is accepting whatever happened for what it was, not trying to water it down with positivity or with a story, or even trying to add an additional negative story, like making up a scenario that embellishes the story to make it even more negative or even more positive. It can go both ways, but just accepting what happened, being aware, the awareness of what happened, what really happened, the raw reality of it all, and accepting that what the other person did or what that situation brought upon you affected you. And it's okay for you to feel uncomfortable and negative about that situation, because you can feel it in your body. You feel constricted, you feel closed, you feel isolated, you feel scared. So become aware of that. Become aware of how your body feels. And it's so hard sometimes, but sometimes you have to do it in doses. Sometimes you just have to feel angry. That's what I try to do. Feel angry for 30 seconds at whatever the situation is. And then I go back to distracting myself with a book or my work or whatever it is that I'm doing. And then I come back to a space where I can feel angry again, maybe for 1 minute, and just feel it. And then I relax and go back to the distractions. And sometimes you have to feel it in doses. And I'm far from mastering this. But I think remember that. I think that this is the way to healing. And I hope it is. Or I hope I find a way that I can truly heal from everything that's afflicted me. And I hope you find a way too. I don't pretend to know the answers. I don't pretend to know the way, because I don't. I'm just trying my best. And I know you are too. We'll get through this together. Good luck on your journey, guys. Peace and love. Bye.